Hi, I'm Mike Hanberger with Tricky Fast Studios, and in this series of videos, I'm showing you how to build an endless runner in Cat Game Builder. If you haven't seen part 1, you may want to go back and watch that first. In that video, we set up the scene and added the title screen. For this video, we will build the running state on the bunny and make the camera follow the action. So let's start with the run state. So we've already created the running state, but let's add some cats to it. First thing we want to add is a player controller. And we're going to add the player controller 2D. Next is the jump controller. And then we want to add a set bool animation parameter. After that, an axis input, a controller event, a set enabled action, a collision trigger, and then a looping action. All right, that's all the actions we're going to need. Okay, let's set this up. So once again, we're using the player controller 2D. One thing you want to make sure is that the bunny here is set as the player. Otherwise, it might not work. So what we want to do is we want to set the walk speed up a bit because we're going to be walking a little faster. And then we want to come over here and make sure that we've set this to side scroll mode. Turn on 2D colliders because all of our colliders in the scene for the ground are 2D. And then we're going to set the height, which is only required when you're using used 2D colliders. We're going to set that to 0.25. Your settings might be different depending on your character. Let's move on to the jump controller. So over here we want to set the tag for the ground, which is ground. So you'll note in the level, I've set everything to ground. Back over here to the running state. So we want to set the jump force to 7. And then we'll let the player jump twice so they can double jump. That means that once they're in the air, they can jump one more time. So for this jump sound, we want to set that. Set the jump sound here. Can leave the other ones empty for now. So set bool animation parameter action. So what we're going to do here, normally with a player controller, you'd use this animation section here to set the walking parameter name and the strafing parameter name. In our case, we want to have that walking animation play the whole time that we're in this state. So we're going to do that outside of the controller. So our parameter here is running, and we want to set it to true. And we want it to revert on stop, which means that when we leave the running state, it's going to stop. Input access name, this is for jumping. So the way that the controllers work, the player controller and the camera controller, is that when they're running, you can use these access input actions to specify what input access from Unity settings goes into the controller. So here we're setting the jump access. And we're going to set that to on jump. The next thing we're going to do is add this controller event action. So controller event action is sort of like access input action, except instead of taking the input, it's going to just set it manually. So we want to always be running. So we're going to set this to 1. And we're going to set it to be, well, we always want to be walking. We're going to set it to walk. The next thing we want to do is make sure to enable the scorer. So we're going to set this to named. We're going to drag in our canvas here. And then we're going to add a path. If you remember from the last video, since we're accessing a game object that's disabled, we need to access its parent and then use the path to get it directly. And we want to set that to enabled. Now we don't want to revert on stop here because we'd like to show the score in the failure screen, the death state. Next thing we have here is our collision trigger. And this is going to be for all the hazards that we're going to add. So we're going to set the collide target to tagged. And we're going to set the tag to hazard. And we're going to click is trigger because these are going to be all triggers. Now we have one more thing to do over here. Under this triggered action, we need to add a change state action. So with this trigger, if you remember, that's when you hit a hazard. So when that happens, we want to change to the dead state. So drag that in. Now let's set up our looping action here. This is going to be for the score. So as we run through the level, we want the score to go up periodically. So let's just set quarter-second delay. Now we have to add another action under this. This is going to be a modify integer. So if you remember, we added a score value over here. And in our looping action, we're going to go select that, owner, score, modification amount. We're going to set that to 5. So every quarter of a second, your score is going to go up by 5. Target value is going to go back on the score. So effectively, this modify integer value action, it's saying target value equals source value operation, which in this case is add. So source value plus modification amount, 5. So we're just adding 5 to the score. And that's going to happen every quarter of a second in this looping action. So that's it for the running state. Next thing we should do is set up the main camera. So what we want to do here is make it into a state machine. And then let's just add an action, which is a move action. So we just want the camera to follow. So target is the camera, destination is the player, and we're going to add an offset here. So we don't want it to always be in the center of the screen. So our offset is going to be 1. We want to set our speed to be 10, and then movement type is continuous so that it keeps going. And then we just want to only do this on the x-axis so that it just pans across the scene. And that's it. And now we should have no more warnings and everything should be all ready to go. Let's give it a try. Okay, here's our title scene. Let's hit play. Hey, look, we can jump. We can double jump. And our score is going up. Looks like everything's working. All right, that's it for this video. In this video, you should have finished the running state on the bunny, as well as set up the camera to follow the action. I hope you found this video informative and useful. For more information on CAT and how it can help you to prototype and build games faster, please visit trickyfast.com/cat. I'm Mike Hanberger with Tricky Fast Studios. Thanks for watching.